fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not, Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees that we learn from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So from my grandmother.
What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all show me some love, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Zion Dynasty. And first, I gotta say peace, love, blessings, and Israelite Moorish power to all my Israelite kings and queens, all my Israelite brothers and sisters. Y'all, I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. Everything that I do is to build our people, build the 12 tribes, build the greatest nation that has ever existed on this earth. Yoruba and Ephraim. I do this for y'all. I love this work, y'all. We're almost there, Zion. You guys have no idea how close we are to the kingdom. I can just feel it. A lot of y'all have been saying that same or sharing that same sentiment. Y'all, we are in the last days for sure. So I want to welcome everybody back to the channel. Also, all the sojourners of Zion, all those cleaving Gentiles with that faith of Rahab the harlot, with that faith of the Syrophoenician woman that know we are the people, that know that we shall be established as the everlasting kingdom of the living creator, world without end, and are cleaving, supporting this work, supporting this mission. I could not do this without y'all. So y'all like this video up, comment, share, subscribe to everybody that you know. We're about to go into this lineage stuff. Let's just deal with the concept of two messiahs, and you're gonna see why knowing who Ephraim is and that whole David lineage holds a mystery.
Now it's possible that this Mashiach ben Yosef had been instrumental before this war in regathering the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom of Israel. We know that in Jewish history, the 10 northern tribes, after the rule of King Solomon, the Jewish nation split into two nations. The southern kingdom of Judah and the northern kingdom, it was called the kingdom of Israel, the 10 northern tribes. And we know that they were exiled about 700 BCE by the Assyrians. And they're known as the lost tribes of Israel. We don't know where they are, who they are. But one of the themes of biblical prophecy, one of the themes that the Bible repeats numerous times when it speaks about what's going to be in the times of the Messiah in this utopian age, one of the themes that is repeated over and over again is that the nation of the Jewish people will be reunited. The tribes of Judah and the tribes of Israel, these 10 tribes will come back. It's quite possible that one of the things that Mashiach ben Yosef will be, as a descendant of Yosef, is that he will be a leader of these peoples that are emerging from the world and coming back and reclaiming their position amongst the Jewish people. You should know, by the way, we have many, many people in the world today that insist they are from the 10 lost tribes. We have a filmmaker from Toronto here, Simcha Yakubovich, made a whole movie about the 10 lost tribes.
So that's the Mashiach ben Yosef. As I said, you have the Tanakh that discusses it in its way, and then the Gemara, the Talmud, as I said, in Tractate Sukkah 52b, elaborates on more. But the purpose of Mashiach, he doesn't die for anybody's sins, but rather his death triggers people into repenting, which then fulfills Isaiah 59 verse 20, and now Mashiach can come because the Jews repented. So it is a device that may be necessary in order to bring about the Messianic age. And And now you understand Mashiach ben Yosef.
Abdul the king/leader, there's going to be a priest. There will be the prophet Elijah. Put this 3 in your spirit as well. There will be a Davidic king/leader. There's going to be a priest, the prophet Elijah as well. Now, sometime during the late Second Temple period, we see that these people are referred to as messiahs. We find this in the Dead Sea Scroll. Until the prophet comes and the messiahs of Aaron and Israel. Here we see the 3 figures mentioned above: the prophet, the priest of Aaron, and the leader of Israel. Here are 3 messianic type characters in the end of days, in the biblical text, and in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Remember what I said about Ephraim. I said in the passage in Ezekiel, Ephraim and Judah are on the same level, but that Judah would lead. This indicates that both Ephraim and Judah would have leaders.
There are people today in the world from Israel who are working with different tribal groups all over the world that say, we are part of the Jewish people, we want to come home. So this that I'm describing is taking place now. Now, who is this leader from the family of Joseph that's leading them? We don't know who it is. There have been many suggestions. And just like in every generation, we're told, there has to be someone who could become the Davidic Messiah. So in every generation, there has to be someone that could be potentially the Messiah from the house of Joseph. There could be someone today that will become instrumental in bringing back these 10 tribes to the land of Israel. But we're told that after he achieved some success in helping bring back these tribes, there's going to be this terrible attack on the Jewish nation. The Talmudic sources tell us that this Messiah from the house of Joseph will function for 45 years. His involvement in the world stage will last for 45 years, according to most sources, and then he will be serving as the paver of the way for the Davidic Messiah, for the ultimate Messiah King, Mashiach ben David. If you look in the prophet Obadiah, chapter 1, verses 17 to 21, the prophet Obadiah says right here in the middle of the page, on Mount Zion there will be a remnant, and it will be holy, and the house of Jacob will inherit those who had dispossessed them. The house of Jacob will be fire, and the house of Joseph will be a flame, and the house of Esav for straw. And they will ignite them and consume them. And there will be a remnant left to the house of Esav, for Hashem has spoken. And saviors, in the plural, saviors, will ascend Mount Zion to judge Mount Esav. And Hashem will have total dominion. There could be, according to many commentaries here, with this plural term, saviors, redeemers, to the 2 messiahs, the Messiah son of Joseph and the Messiah son of David, and they will each play a role. So what is the role of the Messiah son of Joseph? We saw that one of the things he might be involved in doing is helping to regather the exiles. But the Talmud says in Tractate Baba Batra 123b that the progeny of Esav will only be delivered into the hands of the progeny of Joseph. And that's why in this passage in Obadiah, it says, who will be the fire to ignite the straw of Esav? It will be the house of Joseph who will be that flame. So for some reason, we're told that who is going to fight the wars on behalf of the Jewish people? It's going to be Joseph. And the Talmud says that we have a tradition that the enemies of the Jewish people will only fall to a descendant of Joseph.
Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing. Meaning that Rome, Edom, America, that's going to be the last one standing.
It's interesting that Jacob, our ancestor, only felt comfortable, Rashi points this out, he only felt comfortable finally meeting up with his brother Esav, who he was so afraid of. When did Jacob finally feel he could do it? After the birth of Joseph. And that's why we're told that when Moshe was going to need someone to fight Amalek, who did he choose? He chose YESHUA. YESHUA is from the tribe of Ephraim, who comes from Joseph. And one of the reasons for this is that we have an idea in Jewish literature that the people who will be successful in fighting the wars for the Jewish people will be children who come from the tribes of Rachel. Leah is the mother ultimately of Judah, who was going to be the progenitor of the Mashiach ben David, because David comes from Judah, but that was a descendant of Leah. But what's interesting is, when you look throughout the Bible, and I mentioned there are many times the Bible speaks about the Davidic Messiah, it never speaks about him as a warrior. It never mentions him fighting any battles. But we're taught that the victory against the enemies of the Jewish people will come not from the descendants of Leah, but from the descendants of Rachel. So for example, who was the first king of Israel who fought Amalek? And Amalek again is that symbolic enemy of the Jewish people that wants to wipe us out. The first king was Shaul, who was from Benjamin. Benjamin is the son of Rachel. And in the times of Esther, the person who again was the leader against Amalek, Haman from Amalek, was Mordecai, again from Benjamin. So all of these defenders of the Jewish people against their enemies come from Rachel, from Rachel. And so we have this idea that aside from gathering the exiles to the land of Israel, this Mashiach ben Yosef will be someone who will fight the wars for us. And to a great extent, he will be victorious, but unfortunately, he will not see complete victory, because we're taught that he will be killed in one of the final battles. It could be also that one of the reasons, because it's a good question, why does God have to have two messiahs, just have one messiah doing everything?
Now, the Jewish people, and I'm going to put a clip up from my elder Akwate Ama, or I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but brother Akwate, elder Akwate, an African brother that knows our history, knows the history of the Yoruba and Israel and the Northern Kingdom. He did a beautiful teaching on the two messiahs as well, and I'm going to put that insert in here that talks about this Jewish eschatological concept of there being two messiahs, Messiah ben David and Messiah ben Ephraim. Now I believe, I don't necessarily, y'all going to see my opinion, I'm just going to state how they see it, and I'm going to reconcile this based on research, based on the scriptures. So the Jewish people believe in two messiahs. They believe in Messiah ben David and Messiah ben Ephraim. They believe that Messiah ben Joseph would come as a forerunner who would reunite the lost diaspora. They believe he's going to be Messiah ben Ephraim from the lost tribes, or at least, or specifically from the tribe of Ephraim, or at least the lost tribes of Ephraim, which are the 10 Northern Kingdom tribes. He would come from Northern Kingdom. He would come from Ephraim. He will regather the diaspora of Israel. He would show up in Galilee, and he would wage a war against Edom, be pierced through, and die. But his death has atoning power, because when he dies, and when Israel looks at his death, it causes a massive repentance on Israel's behalf when they see this firstborn die. Y'all, when I tell you, now keep YESHUA in mind, I'm telling y'all, but the Jewish people have a Messiah ben Ephraim that is destined to die. And then his death has atoning power for Israel to repent. Messiah ben David comes. establishes the temple, rebuilds the third temple, regathers these exiles, and Israel rules as an autonomous, free nation above all nations and leads in the age or the world to come. So they have these two messiahs. So they got a Messiah ben Ephraim and a Messiah ben David. Then you look at the Christian church that believes that there's just Yeshua, there's just Christ, who is the Messiah. He died the first time and is going to return to fight against the enemies of God and rebuild the temple. But there's some crafty stuff going in the Christian perspective, which is a conservative, white, European, Western, Roman Catholic mindset versus the Jewish mindset. Now, this is where I gotta show y'all a nugget. Just like I tell you guys, there is a war against our people. There is crafty counsel. When I tell y'all, it is crafty. I repeat, crafty counsel to keep Israel from coming back to remembrance. When you look in America, let's deal with America. You got the Republicans and the Democrats. Now, when you look at Malcolm X and Dr. King, they believed that the Republican conservative white person and the liberal white were both working together. They both had elements of truth and divided themselves just to keep our people divided. Why am I bringing this up? What does this have to do with Messiah ben David, Messiah ben Ephraim, and the Jewish eschatology? Let's look at this. The Jews believe in a Messiah that comes from David's lineage that they ascribe to Judah, and a Messiah that comes from Ephraim's lineage, or Joseph, that would die first, preparing the way for Messiah ben David, right? The Christians believe, no, it's just one Messiah. He died the first time, he'll come back. Now, they're both being deceptive. Now, this is where David's lineage comes in. If David is an Ephraimite, there's one Messiah. This reconciles the Jewish understanding and the Christian understanding. Because if there was Ephraimites in Bethlehem, that means the Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David is one, which looks like it points directly to Yeshua. But if this is true, Yeshua was an Ephraimite just based on that deductive reasoning, which fits that this dying Messiah will come, return, and build the temple. He was Ephraim and Judah because Judah was not given Bethlehem. Joshua chapter 15 gives you every city in detail that belonged to Judah, and Bethlehem is omitted, not by mistake. Now I can go through that in deeper detail to show you that Ephraimite is just like me. If I'm translating a book and I see the cat cross the street, the cat ran away from the dog. The Judean scribes said the cat crossed the street, the cats ran away from the dog. They took that manuscript and created two distinct words, Ephraimite, a Gentilic variation, and Ephraimite. But the Strong's Concordance, there is only one Hebrew word that, what does that mean? That means when you read Ephraimite in the Hebrew, there was Ephrati. When you read Ephraimite, there was Ephrati. H673 is Ephrati in the Hebrew. There was only one word. The reason this is so dangerous is because COINTELPRO. And y'all, I got to do some follow-ups just to break down, because I know I'm jumping to show you guys the end game of why this matters. The fear of a black Messiah, COINTELPRO. What does that have to do with the two Messiahs? There's only one lineage, and it leans towards Ephraim. Now, a lot of our people have done their DNA. You're not going to find the Jewish people. Some of y'all might be haplotype J or something like that, or a European paternal ancestry line. But most so-called African Americans are going to be haplogroup E, specifically E1B1A for the most part. E1B1A7A or E1B18A, it's all the same people, right? Now, when you look at the Yoruba, those Nigerians, the Igbo, have the highest rate of that haplogroup because we come from those people. Who are the Yoruba? Who are the Igbo? The Jewish Encyclopedia, the Jewish Virtual Library, Harvard, Tudor Parfit, Oxford, y'all already know we got receipts. The White House Memorandum, Library of Congress, we know they Israel. The Yoruba and the Igbo, but who do they claim specifically? Northern Kingdom. I repeat, the Yoruba, the Igbo, those Nigerians claim to be from Northern Kingdom, either through Gad, his 8th son Eri, or through Ephraim. Yoruba, which is where you get, or Jeroboam, which is where you get Yoruba. There's no J in the Hebrew. Now, I'm going to show y'all just a summary of the Yoruba Ephraimites. I'm gonna put that Facebook clip. I found this from, I think, Dr. Benai Ephraim did an immaculate job showing the history of Yoruba linked to Ephraim. But what I'm telling you is Africa is the northern kingdom. I'm trying to get y'all to see this. And northern kingdom, they went deeper into the continent and settled and founded present-day Nigeria. Why is this important? The oral tradition of the Yoruba is that they are Benai Ephraim, or Ephraimites, that come from Morocco. The Moroccan Ephraimites, this is verified by the Tel Aviv Jerusalem Library. I'm going to put that up. This is verified by the Jewish Virtual Library. I'm going to put that up as well. About the Ephrati, Abraham HaEphrati, Dayar El Kahina that resisted the Romans. The Romans named the continent after these Ephraim, after these Banu Afriyat people that gave them the most resistance. Those ancient Negro Berbers that practiced Judaism prior to Islam entering into that region. Understand, they were converted by Muhammad by force, and that's a whole nother thing. But the point is, these Moors were Ephraimites. This is where, shout out to the Moor Zion Temple, Moor Science Temple, they corroborate all of this history about these Moorish Ephraimites that were in Spain. Luz, Al-Andalus, right? Luz was given to Ephraim. And that's a whole other thing about, wait, you're saying that those biblical territories are in Africa? I'm going to do a follow-up showing that all those ancient cities we read about in the Bible, the majority of them in the entirety of Northern Kingdom is Africa. Is Africa. Afriyat, the Afriyat family, which is in Tel Aviv Virtual Library, that ancient Moroccan Ephraimite family. The fact that that Moroccan Ephraimite family exists proves the oral tradition of the Yoruba. I get skeptical when Israelites don't look to our ancestors and look to our history. If you don't know yourself, you'll never understand prophecy. If you don't know yourself, you'll never understand prophecy. That which was is that which shall be. I have not seen any Israelites standing for the Yoruba. I've seen a lot of stands for the Igbo, but we don't understand the mystery of who we are as a diasporan people is hidden in the oral tradition of the people in Africa. They know who they be. They know who they are, family. The Yoruba claim to be Ephraimite descendants that migrated from Morocco when the Jews were banished from Spain. So that means when they were banished from Al-Andalus, they migrated into Morocco and migrated into Nigeria. This coincides with the Jewish Virtual Library, the Jewish, the doggone Tel Aviv Library. So many sources that mention this ancient Moroccan Ephraimite family. So their oral tradition is fact checked by even the people that don't acknowledge them. So that's credibility, family. Why is this important? The fear of a black Messiah. Keep in mind those two Messiahs. Messiah ben David, Messiah ben Joseph. Now I'm seeking to reconcile those into one lineage that the nations know who that is. It's an Ephraimite lineage. I'm telling y'all, it's one word. Now, whether it be two people that show up or one or somebody that already is, or Yeshua coming from there's a lot of, nobody knows for sure how this stuff is going to play out. I'm just going to tell y'all. But the Bible does give us certain markers and prophecies to look to know when we're near the end of days. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. So they got two Messiahs, Messiah ben David, Messiah ben Joseph. I argue that it's one lineage of Ephraim. Ephraimites that lived within Judah. So to say that Christ came out of Judah is consistent, but his blood was Ephraim. This is why the whole kinsman redeemer event took place in the book of Ruth. You had Ephraimites trying to protect their tribal integrity. How do I know this? Because they were surrounded by Judah. They were in Judah. They had Judah occupied the rest of the surrounding cities of Bethlehem. So Bethlehem was considered a town or province of Judea, right? Now, the deeper part goes, when you look at Elimelech, when you look at Naomi and Ruth, they were trying to find another Ephraimite to marry Ruth and keep that lineage going within a surrounding Judaite, even Edomite influence. Y'all got to hear this. They were trying to preserve that Negro Northern Kingdom Ephraimite blood. So this is why I tell y'all, the two greatest kingdoms, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, both were double fruit of Ephraim. That's the prophecy Jacob picked from the beginning. Y'all don't understand the power of Genesis 49. Everything Jacob said was for the end of days.
Joseph would be that vine that went over the well into many waters, right? And the archer shot at him, but his arm, his bow was remained strong by the arm of the Almighty. You get this imagery, you get Joseph, who was sold in the pit into captivity, that would eventually rise above, and his offspring would be in many waters. Now let's deal with that many waters. That's Ephraimite language. When you look at Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks NBA star, y'all may have heard of him. He is Nigerian, but lives in Greece. Giannis is a Greek name, but his surname, Antetokounmpo, is Nigerian Yoruba. What does Antetokounmpo mean? The crown has returned from many waters. When you see many waters imagery in the scriptures, this is Ephraimite language. This is the prophecy that Jacob gave to Joseph, that his branches would run over the wall and would be in many waters. We see this in Judges chapter 5 with Deborah, that when she sings her song, she said, "Blessed be those that their buckets are full of many waters, at the drawing pot of many waters." This is Ephraimite language. So when you know prophecy, you can see when an Ephraimite prophecy is being given. I got to do a follow-up on the prophecies of an Ephraimite Messiah. Y'all got to get Messiah ben Joseph. Please get these books that I'm telling. These two that I mentioned, David Ephraimite and David C. Mitchell's Messiah ben Joseph, y'all, they go into way more detail than I can cover in these lessons. And y'all, it'll help you follow along. So when you see Deborah's song about the many waters, keep that in mind when you go to Numbers chapter 23 and 24. It says that he sits in many waters. He crouches as an old lion. We think of the tribe of Judah, that Numbers 23 and 24, it says a star shall come out of Jacob. He comes out of many waters. His king will be higher than Agag. And I'm gonna pick those scriptures up to let you guys see this. This is Ephraimite language. In Exodus 17 verse 16, it says that Israel will war against Amalek in every generation. What was going on in Exodus 17? Joshua and Ephraimite was warring against Amalek, the Edomites. This is why Saul did not kill the king of Agag. David did it. Now I'm gonna put up an article. I'm gonna show another video about Messiah ben Joseph's task, that is destined that he would go against Edom, that he would conquer the Edomite West. The Jews even acknowledge that America is that end-time Edom. What does this sound like? That this Messiah ben Joseph would overcome Edom. But if Messiah ben Joseph is Messiah ben Ephraim, the Yoruba say that they're Ephraim. Most African Americans come from these Yoruba that come from Morocco, those Ephraimites. The fear of a black Messiah in COINTELPRO. Why did J. Edgar Hoover use the term prevent the rise of a black Messiah? That's Hebrew. When he was talking about killing Malcolm X and Dr. King, Edom persecuting the potential Messiah ben Joseph. This was prophesied even by the Jews. They have records of this stuff about the Messiah ben Ephraim. And y'all, I hope they don't pull this stuff down, because I'm showing y'all some mysteries that have been hidden from the foundation of the world. There's a reason why when we do our My True Ancestry, Yoruba comes up and Moor comes up. But the Moors say they're Moorish Ephraimites. The Yoruba say they're Ephraimites. So your DNA is telling you you are a Moorish Ephraimite of the northern kingdom, Morocco being the chief center of the kingdom of the northern kingdom. And those ancient Amazigh noblemen, Nazis, went deeper into Nigeria. And when you look at the Nazi family, oh man, we see the term Nazi, Negus, Negib, all of these titles of nobility ascribed to the Sephardic Israelites. Now, it's a lot of history. Those Sephardic Israelites were Ephraimites. This is in the oral tradition verified by Cambridge of the Yoruba themselves. They say that we got here when we were banished from Spain and went into Morocco and went to Nigeria. Wait, that's the Sephardic Israelite history. The Sephardic Israelites are Moorish Ephraimites. That's why they always have to say the Jews and Moors of Spain. No, all of them were Moors. Some practiced Judaism and Torah, and a lot of them got caught up in Islam. But ethnically, they were Moorish Ephraimites. Some of them went to the Americas because the Moors dominated the whole earth during that time, y'all. Schwarzenegger, the German Schwarzenegger, it's a white last name today, but it means Schwarty Negro. Now this gets into when the blacks ruled Europe. This is still Northern Kingdom. These is still Northern Kingdom Ephraimites that ruled Europe until the Roman Catholic Church
came and swept through there and pushed them into Spain, pushed them lower into Spain, pushed them into Morocco, and they went deeper into sub-Saharan Africa. So Israel during the Dark Ages ruled everywhere, right? So it is not strange to think that there were Native American Moorish Israelites. This is where you get the Native Americans on the 12 tribes chart. I still don't agree with the 12 tribes chart because all of these are Negro descendants. You could just say that all of Israel were Negro Moorish Ephraimite descendants that got scattered all over the world. The coat of many colors of Joseph, the prodigal son, they both were sons of one father. This debunks Christianity that says that, you know, salvation is for everybody. The prodigal son shows you there was a dwelling in Judea, dwelling in the land of Israel, Israelites that kept Torah versus those that lived abroad, right? Those that have been scattered through Hellenization. So y'all, I'm gonna have to do a follow-up on this stuff. I'm running out of time with it, but I'm trying to get y'all to see. There are two messiahs, and I might have to do another follow-up to kind of go deeper into these things based on the Jews, but this is one lineage. So the Christians got it right, but they got it wrong. The Jews got it right, but they got it wrong. David was an Ephraimite, so there is one figure. This is summed up in YESHUA, who sat at the well in Samaria with the Samaritan woman that she said the Messiah is going to show us these things. She's talking about her Messiah. He said, I that speak to you am he. He sat on the well that Jacob gave to Joseph as a gift. This is John chapter 4. Wait, he is sitting there almost like the vine in Genesis 49 that runs over the walls of the well. Y'all, I have so much to give y'all. That's Christ who said, I'm the true vine. That's Ephraimite language. That's that fruitful son. And that goes into Ephraimian double fruit. He was that fruit that was sitting on the well of Joseph's well because he was a Ephraimite that lived in Bethlehem. That is why Herod went on a killing spree in Bethlehem in Matthew chapter 2. And you see the scripture say that Rachel mourns for her seed because her kids are not. Why would it say Rachel? Leah was the mother of Judah. Rachel was the mother of Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph, the father of Ephraim. Y'all, I got so many receipts. The Lord knows. It's just too many. I'm going to do some follow-ups, but I'm pressed for time at the moment. I might insert that clip where I did the car rant. And I'm going to go deeper if y'all want me to. I can verify when it says out of Judah, Judah is a providence, y'all. Y'all understand there were different tribes in Judea even during the time of Christ. So it's not saying the tribe, but it's saying out of the tribe of Judah's territory, we can prove ethnically he was Ephraimite. So y'all, I hope y'all got something out of this. I'm going to do some follow-ups. Don't worry. If y'all want me to go deeper, I have a lot of different receipts. This is why the Jews believe in two messiahs. They say this dying Ephraimite messiah. No, it's one lineage. Christ was an Ephraimite that lived in Bethlehem within Judea. Y'all Google the Ephraimites in Bethlehem. There's so many articles. Google Messiah ben Joseph. You're going to go down a rabbit hole of literature. There's too much of this stuff, right? In various literature. So I love you all with the love of the Messiah. Peace, love, blessings, and Israelite power to the 12 tribes scattered. All the Moors, Ephraimites in the building stand up. Yoruba, B'nai Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph. I love you all. Be blessed. Shalom. All praises.